Got these screws out. We're gonna pull the top off. A little bit of moisture. This guy's been sitting outside, which is not good. I don't like to leave bikes sit outside, but when you don't have room, this is what you do. So we're gonna dry that up. I don't have a place to sit this very well. I'm gonna dry that up, of course. Pull out the diaphragm. Yeah, it looks a little dark and dirty. So we're just gonna go ahead and do a refresh here. Put some fresh fluid in the top here. And we're gonna suck this out with a syringe. Well, I pulled out what I could without going down to the breather hole there. Or the, where you get air sucked in there. And there's a little bit of dirt down the corner. Right down there in the corner. So I'm gonna top this off with .3 and then we'll bleed the fluid down through the lines. Okay, other side of the master cylinder. Diaphragm's in place so that we don't be spilling a bunch of brake fluid. We're gonna pump up the lever and build up some pressure. See if we can make any pressure in here. Like I said, there's probably air in there because we had the bottom lines open for so long. I'm not getting pressure yet. So we're probably gonna have to crack this line first. If I remember correctly, that's 12. So we're gonna pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it. Yeah, there's no pressure coming up yet. So we're probably not pumping it down through the line. So I'll crack this, get the air out a couple times, and then we should be able to build pressure. All right, I pumped and cracked it a few times here and really didn't get much air. So all of our air is down here. So we're gonna have to work on pumping it here and cracking it down here. And you really should do your furthest one from the master first. So we're gonna try down here. So we're gonna pump it up here and then crack it down there. And if you need to learn how to bleed brakes or clutches, go ahead and watch one of my other videos. I'm not gonna go into a super amount of detail here just because this is more for installing the calipers, and you can watch any of my videos on bleeding brakes and clutches. Since we left this disconnected for so long, we're going to attempt to reverse bleed this. So what I do is I got a little piece of hose here, stuck it on the end of a syringe. We're going to actually get rid of the air here. We're going to suck brake fluid up through this hose so it's full and into our syringe, and then we're going to attach it to the bleeder nipple and try to push it down into the caliper so we get rid of that air in there. That air is not going to compress from the top. All this air actually has to work its way up through before we can get pressure to actually make it work. So we're going to try and reverse bleed this, and what we're attempting to do is push all the air up through and the brake fluid that's in the line. Trying to attempt to push it up through and then have it come out at the top. So that's when we know all the air is out. We have to do it for both sides, left and right. So let's start on the right. Unfortunately for me, I grabbed a line here that really doesn't fit on there well, so this has potential to pop off. I'm gonna try and make sure it doesn't, but I moved the wrench there so you could see it. So now I'm gonna have to get an open-ended wrench, 8mm, stick on there, and then we'll crack it just a little bit. If you crack it too much, you're gonna push it and it's gonna leak here. So crack it a little bit and push your fluid in there. Just do it lightly. If you feel resistance, open a little bit more and you can push it in as you're pushing this. If it's not going, you obviously have an issue here, and you just open a little more. If you see it leaking here, you're too far open. But we gotta fill it up and then have enough pressure to get it pushed up through. So this is kind of a nightmare, and I'll tell you why. It's because I took these calipers and just let the lines hang. So this was full of air and this line was full of air. So either way you work here, it's not working out with the master cylinder way up top. So what I think we have to do, I could not push the air. Air does not compress. So trying to get this to reverse bleed was not happening because there was air here, air the whole way up through here. So what I just did is crack the line right here at the splitter, and a bunch of air came out. So I already know that air's in this line. So it's having a heck of a time trying to go up through. So what I think we're gonna do is I'm going to keep trying to reverse bleed this up through here, but we're filling this first, and then we gotta fill this with fluid. So I'm gonna crack this, and it's just gonna be like building pressure from the bottom, where I'm building pressure with this rather than the piston in the master cylinder up top. So typically you're in the master cylinder, you're building pressure to go down and compress your pads. Here, we're building pressure here, and I just need to relieve the pressure here. So I'm opening this, and I'm gonna push fluid up through here, and it'll technically push all the air out here. And then we'll get fluid here, and then I'll know I have fluid from this point down through. And then we'll do it on both sides. It's, you just gotta think through this before you just frustrate yourself, because it'll take you forever. So anyway, like I said, I just cracked this and there was air that came out. I'm not even pressurized. See, that was air. Now there's fluid. So that's actually a good sign. Now I'll crack this one too. See, I got fluid falling out everywhere. I'm gonna crack the other side, and hopefully I can get my air out of here, because this air is all built up here, so it's not allowing fluid to go either way. So let's go ahead, crack the other side. All right, I don't know how tight this is on here. Let's see if I can catch it for you. Ready? Ugh. I got it. Okay, it doesn't sound like there's any air there. So we're gonna try to, there is fluid there, so that's good. So we have air stuck in there anyway. So I wonder if now we can build some pressure here. I don't know, I should probably still reverse bleed it. But it'd be interesting if I can get pressure here. Now that I took this fluid out again. I wonder if I could get pressure here. Not yet. I think I might be onto something here. So I cracked these guys, did both sides, and I pushed fluid up through the bleeder valve. So opened this and kept pushing fluid through here until it started dripping up here. So I think fluid is from here down through. Now I'm sure there's some air that I'm gonna have to take care of, and I just throw my stuff around. Now there's air in here. So hopefully I'm far enough along. I got fluid up to here, fill both sides. Now I just have to get the air out of here to here, and then make that work together. I just pumped pressure up here, and I cracked this, and I got some air out of there, so that's a good sign. So that means air came up through here to here, because I wasn't getting air there before. Starting to feel pressure too, guys. Starting to feel a little pressure. Hold this, crack that. That time a bunch of fluid came out, so I believe air is out of here. I'm definitely starting to build pressure here. I'll bleed this 1 or 2 more times, and then maybe we're ready to start. Ooh, we're pumping fluid down through, so pressure's good here. Top this off before I get air, before I start letting air down there. Let's see if we can finish in standard bleeding fashion. Pump up the top, hold this a little bit from the bar, and see if we get some air bubbles out of this cracked bottom. Hey, we got pressure and fluid came out the bottom, so at least we know this side's working. Pump this up. Do it again. Yep, they're working together now, bottom and top. See, a little bit of air came out. This should be propped up a little bit better, but it's fine. So we pumped the top, definitely building pressure. We have one line worked. Do this a couple more times, switch to the other side, and then maybe we'll be good to go. Do this. Oh, I pumped that a bunch of times. All right, let's see where I am. So this is working. Make sure your level up top's good before you swap. I just topped it up. See, we're not even touching the bar yet. We haven't done the other side. So hopefully this is good to go. All right, now the other side's done. We're working on the left side and she's doing the same thing. We're getting everything working together. Make sure everything's tight. In recap, I'll tell you, let's see. Pump this up at the top. We'll definitely have good pressure. I can fit my pinky in between the bar and the brake. Actually, a little bit more than pinky. Show you this. Look at that. We're definitely good on both sides. So in recap, don't take your calipers off and let it sit for 3 or 4 weeks. You're gonna get lots of air in the system and it's gonna be a pain in the butt. So now I got tons of front brakes. I assume everything's working correctly. The air has been bled out. This side had more air than the other side, and got some air bubbles out of here. If you need to watch something on brake bleeding, go ahead and find one of my other videos. Look up brake bleeding on Honda or brake bleeding. Actually, I probably did it on this bike before. So anyway, never open this when you're not holding the lever. If you open this, you're just gonna let this air in because you're not pushing from the top. So I can't show you that with just one hand, but moral of the story, make sure you crack these guys. This is just like cracking your banjo bolt up top. Air's gonna get stuck in here along the way. Air can get stuck there. Air can get stuck here in this splitter. And obviously we had full air down in the calipers and then up into those lines. So make sure you don't neglect any point of your system. And now this is fully braked. Look at that. We have full pressure. So we can take this bike down the road. Put that where you want it. A lot of times I like to have it somewhere in the window, so at least you can check it without opening it. And we're good to go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road. Get out and ride.